Hello, welcome to science class. I am going to go ahead and run through the lab that I would like you to do at home this week. Hopefully you can gather these materials. If not, you can just watch this video and use my data. But all you really need is some salt, an egg, and the ruler that came in your kit, and some warm water in some sort of clear container. If we were in the lab, I would give you this 400 ml beaker, and that's what it says in your materials list. But any clear container will do, as long as your egg, when you submerge it, I'm going to add 250 mils, so it's just about 4 to 5 centimeters over top. So if your container is larger, you'll just add more water. So the amount of water will vary depending on your container. The amount of salt should be the same. We use 5 mils because in science we always use the metric system. But I know we're at home. We may not all have a milliliter graduated cylinder like we would have at school. So luckily 5 mils equals 1 teaspoon. And hopefully everybody has a small teaspoon that they can use to measure out the amount of salt. So in this lab, we are going to see the effect of salinity, the effect of salt water on buoyancy. Can you float easier in an ocean or in a pool? You might have experienced that yourself. So we're just going to test that with an egg and change the salinity of the water. And what we're going to measure, what our dependent variable is going to be the height of the egg from the bottom of the container to the top of the egg. So I have also got my observation journal that I've quickly written down a table for recording, and then I'll put that data into the lab sheet that you all have on Google Classroom. Okay, so let's get started. Pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and first put my egg, it is raw, so be careful, into my container and add my warm water. The key is you want the water to be warm so the salt will dissolve a lot easier. I am going to measure out 250 mils because I do have this beaker, so I'm able to do that pretty precisely. And I always, when I measure volume, I want it to be at eye level so I can see. And then I'm going to get my very first dependent variable measurement, which is going to be height. We want to use the metric system, so we are on the centimeter side of your ruler. Inches, that's not for science. So if you put it to the side, it's a little bit hard to see. It's not going to be super precise. But when I look, it is about 4.5 centimeters. I'm going to record that with a 0, and that's our control. Now I'm ready to start adding a little salt to the water, making it a little more saline. You're going to want to be in an area where you can make a mess because the salt might get everywhere as you pour it. Shake it up, make sure there's no clumps. And again, I am using the graduated cylinder. If you have a teaspoon, you will use that. That's 5 mils. That was good luck. That is 5 mils. You can see it right there. Pour it in. Use a stir, or I'm just going to use my ruler because I have it. To gently stir it in. Be careful. You don't want to go crazy because you don't want to break your egg. But get it nice and dissolved. To get our second measurement, and I can see that it really hasn't moved up at all. I am still right at 4.5. So I have recorded 0 mils of salt, 4.5, 5 mils of salt, 4.5. So my next measurement says 10 mils. Now I don't want to add 10 mils. I want it to be a total of 10 milliliters of salt. So I add 5 every time. Keep that in mind. If you add 10, then that's a total of 15. So 5 mils every time. Let's see if I can keep more salt in, not all over my table. I went way over it. That's okay. Might take a little bit to get it exact. A little bit more. Okay. Again, the same procedure. So in this lab, you know, we're not blowing things up. We're not watching a lot of color change, but we are following a lot of those steps of the scientific method. How to measure precisely, how to be good observers, how to gather data and record it. Okay. Let's let it settle a little bit for me. Actually, it's starting to get a little bit higher. Looks like I might be up to about 4.7 now. Okay, 5 more. So you just keep adding the salt. You're actually going to do this a total of 5 times to reach a total of 25. So I am now on my 15 total. You can see the water's starting to get a little bit cloudy. My salinity is definitely increasing. Remember, our IV in this experiment is the amount of salt that we're changing. Oh, let's let it settle for a minute. Definitely moving up just a tad bit. I am up to 5 centimeters. Oh, you can see I've got my 5. I wonder when it's going to really start to float to the top. It might. Is it going to be 15? Is it going to be 20? Is it ever? Okay. It's definitely getting a little more buoyant. I am up to 5.2 centimeters. I have going to have 1 more up to 25. Oh, that was pretty good. Got my last 5 mils to go in for a total of 25 milliliters of salt. So this is quite salty. This is like the ocean would be. It's nothing that you would want to drink, certainly. See if this affects it. Oh, it is definitely rising to the top now. So the top of the egg is all the way now up to the top, which is 7 centimeters. So I can definitely see that if my hypothesis was the higher the salinity, the easier it is for something to float. I was right on, because that just definitely happened. So you go ahead and take your data, input it into the sheet, the table in Google Classroom, and then we will share our results tomorrow.